We begin with breaking news from the White House this evening. President Trump just now signing the just passed House funding bill into law, ending a brief, partial government shutdown. It is officially over and now starting the clock on negotiations over ICE funding that could have us in this exact same position 2 weeks from now.
This bill is a great victory for the American people. Instead of a bloated and wasteful omnibus monstrosity full of special interest handouts, we've succeeded in passing a fiscally responsible package that actually cuts wasteful federal spending while supporting critical programs for the safety, security, and prosperity of the American people. And this group of people behind me and others, and a lot of votes, they really have done a fantastic job.
The president speaking in the Oval Office just moments ago there and taking some questions from reporters, including Bloomberg's Tyler Kendall, who's now making her way out to our cameras on the North Lawn. For the latest details on that funding vote and where things go from here, let's go to Capitol Hill right now. Bloomberg's Erik Wasson, who's had a busy day, joining us live from the Hill. Erik, they got this done. What happens in 2 weeks?
You know, it's going to be a limited shutdown, I expect, of the Department of Homeland Security. It's going to be very hard for them to come to terms on new restraints on ICE and Border Patrol agents. Democrats have a long list of demands, including judicial warrants and taking masks off, that Republicans are really not willing to entertain. And it's just very hard. The House would have to pass this very early next week for the Senate in order to take it up and get it done by February 13th. I don't see that happening. But, you know, the Department of Homeland Security could run on, sort of a mini shutdown for a while. ICE agents, Border Patrol will continue to be paid from the One Big Beautiful tax bill money. But, you would see, FEMA workers and TSA workers missing a paycheck that's due on February 17th. So this is going to be unpleasant for those individuals. But the bigger story today is that 5 parts of this bill fully fund, those elements of the government through September 30th, State Department, Treasury, and really reversing a lot of those DOGE cuts to medical research, foreign aid. It was a real compromise from Republicans and Democrats and kind of put Congress back in the driver's seat of the power of the purse.
Erik, several Republicans were against this, and it was actually President Trump that spoke to him and turned things around. Do you envision that happening next time as well?
Well, it would depend on what kind of deal the Trump administration would strike. Certainly, if he does, any sort of deal with Democrats, there will be some on the far right that would resist that. In this particular case, there was an attempt to hijack a procedural vote in order to get attached a voter ID requiring bill. That's really in trouble in the Senate, and not only among Democrats, but there are members of the Republican Party who don't want to see federal control over elections, which are really the province of the states. So there was an attempt to attach this. They ended up backing down under pressure from the White House and from Speaker Johnson. But it was a dicey moment for a second there. And then ultimately the bill passed 217 to 214. A close vote because progressives were against it for even 2 weeks of funding. So it squeaked by. But I do think it's going to be very dramatic in 2 weeks when the Homeland Security bill runs out on February 13th.